Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Marketing Corner.
Whoop, 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 whoop,
Woo!
whoop, whoop, whoop. Post-holiday edition.
I was about to say post-holiday edition, right? Like the
Yeah.
first time we're recording in the studio again.
Yep.
We've been
It's been
chilling.
a month?
I think it's been more than a month.
More than a month, because you did a nice long vacation.
I did 3 weeks, okay.
That's a nice long vacation. I had 2 weeks, and then I was sick for a week. So does that count?
So you did 3 weeks.
So I did 3 weeks.
Yeah. No, actually, like this is the longest time I've had as a founder.
Yeah.
3 weeks. Pretty happy about that. I'm actually taking 2 weeks more in September.
That's
And my
the
wife
Americans listening right now are just like, what?
What? Like, does Casper even work? And the clients it's like, do we even pay this guy? Like, why should we? Like, yeah. But yeah, I'm actually and if you count it, like it's 5 weeks. Like it's kind of a lot.
But I think most contracts are 25 weeks.
Exactly.
Right? So that you're within the
I'm within the limits, but then
you're
like
within the limits.
in a normal contract, I couldn't take vacation over Christmas. But it'll be fine.
It's your business, babe.
Yeah, it's fine.
What did you do for summer vacation? Let's do those 3 weeks.
Actually, so at the 3 weeks, I didn't do too much. I went to a summer house and just went around Denmark. Just did fun stuff with the kids and stuff.
Nice.
In September, we're going to Italy for 2 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely.
Catching some of that after summer vibes.
Yeah. Not too crowded.
25, 30 degrees, like private pool, that kind of stuff.
All right. I did a 2,500 kilometer road trip with 3 small kids.
And you are officially the crazy one.
I am
of us.
insane. Yeah, I'm the crazy one in this relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
It seemed like a good idea at the time. And to be fair, the kids had a great time. But my God.
I was about to say, the kids had a great time.
Yeah.
I did not, but the kids.
But
the
anyone
kids,
with kids knows you don't take
Yeah, it's
vacation. You
bullshit.
just watch them in
Yeah.
another location while they eat
Yeah.
French fries.
That's true.
In
No,
another
100%. No. Like, I feel like we had activities every day, but that was kind of good, but also stressful. It's kind of like that's why I'm struggling so hard because like it was good because we had so much activity, but at the same time I was also like, whew,
You don't relax.
I don't relax
Like,
at
we didn't
all.
relax at
like
all.
those 3 weeks, I
Yeah.
did not relax that much.
We did Germany. So
Yeah.
we drove to Germany and we went to Haida Park. Awesome. Peppa
Yeah.
Pig Land.
Love it.
How to Train Your Dragon Land.
Yeah.
And then we drove to Holland where we stayed at a Center Parks. And
Yeah.
that was what was great because I have a 1-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 9-year-old. So there's a big age gap.
Yeah, so
But
you
they
need
have
to
so
have
many-
something that covers all bases.
Yeah.
right?
And Center
Gotcha.
Parks is great because there's like a petting zoo, but then there's
Yeah.
zip lining. And like there's all kinds, like everyone was met except for us because we were so tired. You just like, could there be babysitters?
Yeah.
No.
And that's it. Like, so in September we're going with the in-laws. So that means
that'd be nice.
so Camilla's grandparents, and on top of that, her sister. So that means
And
we're
come over.
5 grown-ups for 2 kids.
Oh,
and
dividing
it's just
concept,
like,
baby.
and they're awesome, right? So they're all like they can all step in, like they're all good with the kids and stuff. So it's like, I'm so excited about that.
Welcome to Parenting Corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Speaking of
Anyway,
marketing,
Speaking of, what
no.
to do with your babies.
what to do with your babies after getting funding?
Hey.
Boom. So that was the
Boom.
segue. So no, in case you're wondering, if we're not going to talk about babies,
This is a marketing podcast, people.
yes, this is if you're listening for the first time. But today we're going to be talking about funding.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody talks about funding. A lot of people get funding. Very few people know what to do with it.
Very, yeah.
Yeah, but that's another note for another day. I think what we want to talk about a little bit today is like kind of like talk a little bit about what does it mean to get funded? Like, what are the different types of funding? Where can you get funding from? All those kind of things. And especially with you and your current job at Verdane, Jen, I think you have a lot of insights here. Like also how that looks. I've gotten a lot of funding and throughout the companies I've been in, but we should have some insights to share here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to cover the different types of funding and then probably most importantly, what to expect.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. I don't want to give too much away, but I think a lot of people think this is a big pot of money that you're just given and the end, and it's not.
Yeah.
And this was inspired because y'all keep accusing me of being a VC and hair flip. I'm not a VC. I'm a PE.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
But let's start there. So
Yeah.
what are the different types, what are like definition, like if you have like, what are different types of funding? Like where can it come from here?
Yeah. So the smallest or like the kind of first stage is usually an angel investor.
Yes.
And that tends to be maybe an individual
Yes.
or just someone who backs your idea very early on.
Yeah.
So it's usually their personal money. So it's
Yeah.
someone with deep pockets, shall we say, who believes in your idea, believes in you. The amounts aren't crazy high, but the risk is very high.
It's super high risk,
Super
right?
high risk because it's
High risk, high reward.
pre-revenue. It's kind of when you're in your idea stage. I have this idea, but I need some money to get it off the ground. An angel investor will give you that
A
money.
lot of angel investors invest on like that's when you hear the stories about I invested because of a napkin kind of stories.
The napkin, yeah.
The napkin
investment.
stories,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Those happen with angel investors, in
Yeah.
my opinion, right? Because like I've talked to a bunch of I talked a lot with Nikolai Hoyer, who's the guy who's a part of Pineo and stuff like that. And he's a good example of someone like it's all about the people. Don't get me wrong, it's about the product and all these different things, but he buys into the right people. He
Right.
also buys into the right industries and stuff like that. That's important, but it's very much about the people.
The people.
I think I would argue once you get to a later stage, we'll cover that later, but then it becomes less about the people.
Yes.
Like when you're investing a Series D, right?
Yeah,
It's
we'll
not
talk
that
about
much.
the different series as well.
Yeah, that's not too much about the people anymore. It's a little bit more about the product and what
Yeah.
you see the potential in that and stuff like that.
Exactly. Absolutely. So the next one is seed funding.
Yes.
And that's usually your first institutional money. So
Yes, and that's a
the
very big difference between
Yes.
institutional and angel.
personal. Yes.
Right, yeah.
Personal money and institution money. So these are funds, usually a bunch of people getting together to pool their money together or
Yeah.
companies. And this is validating product market fit.
So you basically companies like places like Seed Capital, they do seed
Yes.
funding, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's kind of your first official injection of cash
Yeah.
where you have a good idea. And now it's like, let's put it in the market.
Do you guys at Verdane do seed funding actually? No, there's nothing, right? No.
We're private equity. We
Yeah.
are the kind of final stage.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we work with, so we have partners who do seed. We do
Yep.
not so much angels. We have some VCs, and we kind of work with them. So if
Yep.
we see one of our partners has invested, we keep tabs on them, and then maybe when it's time, then we'll jump in when they hit that right stage.
And here you in terms of how far do you have to be to get seed funding from your perspective? Like
You have to have product market fit, I think,
Yeah.
or at least very close to it. So there has to be
Yeah.
a concrete idea, a product to look at, something in beta, and now we want to get it into the market. We want to see if it fits.
exactly, and they're also like when you deal with angel investors, don't get me wrong, you can probably get some term sheets, but sometimes you don't even. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's
Super.
it's super low to the ground,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like there are some sort of contracts, term sheets. Don't get me wrong, typically, but it's very casual, and there might like, do you need investor meetings? Maybe they believe you enough. So it's like, yeah, just send me an update once in a while. I'm good, right? Where here, once you get to seed funding, then there's a little bit more commitment, right? At least from my perspective, that's what I've learned. right?
Yes.
Then
That's
it
more
becomes
official.
It's more official.
Yeah.
Right. There's board meetings and stuff like
And
that.
there's
right?
something there. There's something
Yeah.
there that people really like. And
Yeah.
then the next level of that is venture capital. That's
Yes.
the VC.
Yeah.
And that's a larger check. It's more structured. There's usually banks or, funds involved in that. They look for 10 times return, right?
Yep.
They're really expecting something good. They want seats on the board. They want to have strong influence on your strategy. And that's where the real pressure begins. And I think you and I have probably had the most experience with VCs
Yes.
in our
Yep.
companies that we've been in.
I was a trust pilot, as listeners might know. I was a trust pilot that got a lot of VC money. Templify got a lot of VC money. United FinTech was a bit of a different model. There was a mix of more. When I was there was a lot of angel investors, big angel investors, but
Okay.
still
Angels.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Most of the companies I've worked at have been VC funded.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit less risk.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a venture. It's sort of it is still a risk involved, but it's bigger checks, but in exchange for heavy influence
Yes.
on your product and what you're going to do in your org chart. And then last but not least, and this is where Verdane sits, is private equity.
Yep.
And this is late stage capital. This
Yep.
is you already have product market fit. You already have traction. We like what we see and we want to be involved.
Yep.
So that's less risk, larger checks.
Yes. Way larger
basically.
checks.
Way larger. So we're looking for companies that are close to profitability or like on the path to profitability. So our focus is a lot on operational efficiencies and scaling the business. So
Do you have like a minimum of like when you go in? Like, is there a scale of like? Do you have to
not
know
that I know of. I
Okay.
know some of the lower ranges is around 20 million.
Okay, gotcha.
20 million, but
Yeah.
Some higher in over 200 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Investment funds. And this is, I think, in exchange, again, board seats. We will usually, maybe look to replace some C-levels. And this is where we're really serious companies now.
Yes.
Like we're in the serious realm of we are looking to turn a profit. And that's, so you have your angel, your seed, your venture, your private equity.
Yes.
And that's kind of the stages that you go
tiering.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought maybe while we're talking about these different stages, before we dive into
What it means as a
the
marketeer
feelings and stuff, let's talk the series.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of times you'll hear, oh, they closed their Series A or they closed their Series B. We were talking before we recorded, most of us have done C or D series, right?
Yeah.
So what do those mean? So a Series A, sometimes it's called a growth round.
Yeah.
And that is, kind of early stages. I've lost my thing. Okay, yeah. So this is your first real VC money. It tends to be the VCs that do the Series A, Series B. So this is where we want you to scale your product. This is where we want to see a buildable, repeatable sales and marketing, especially function. Can you sell this product? Yeah. Can you train other people to sell it? So it's not the founder calling his network and selling it. It's can you teach people to sell this thing?
Yes.
Usually this is between the $5 to $20 million mark.
Yes.
Anything to say about A rounds?
No. I think I'm just thinking. Was that a part of an A round? I think Compliant.
No, I was part of the A round, but we call it the growth round.
Yeah. I don't think I actually had an A round. I think I joined after that was established. To be completely honest, Templify maybe. I'm just thinking out loud here, but yeah. So, but it does make sense. Yeah. I think it's important for me. What I've seen is that typically when you land an A round, that's also you have more stuff figured out than when you're dealing with angel investors and stuff like that. Yeah. But you haven't figured out all the stuff yet.
No.
That's very important. I think a lot of the A round companies I meet, they definitely haven't figured out all the stuff yet. Let's put it that way.
But there's potential.
Yeah. They have figured out some stuff. There's some stuff that's working. And I think that's usually a good indicator when you see a B round, C round company. The later they go, the more stuff they figured out.
Yes, exactly. And that brings me to B. So a Series B is about scaling. So this is usually if you want to expand to a new market, a new geography, if you want to do a major hiring
requires more capital.
Yeah, exactly. You have more money. These range between $20 to $50 million tickets. So more money, but definitely looking for very efficient growth. CAC to LTV ratio. So these are the metrics that they want to look at. Sales predictability, making sure your churn's under control. So Series B is more mature. Yeah. And I've been through an A, I've been through a B, and I've been through a C as an in-house. Yeah. Those are the levels that I've seen. Yeah. Then there's the C. This is big money, 50 to 200 million. I know at Dixa, that was our C round. It was 150 million.
Which is also huge, by the way.
It's a huge amount of money.
Yeah, it's a ton of money.
That's where we're going to dominate the market. We're going to acquire other companies. Like this is where you're really, really ready to just expand and expand and expand. So we're looking, this is also where PE firms will probably also usually get involved or growth funds. Valuations are usually in the hundreds of millions. So we see you as a really exciting company. Yeah. And this is also usually when you get to like the C, D, that's when you look to IPO. That's when going public and people can buy shares in your company and all that fun stuff. That's usually, and that's, let's be honest, that's what most founders want. Yeah. They want to go public. They want to go on the stock exchange and whatever.
Most of them just want to cash out, right?
And just cash out. Exactly. And then you have D. D isn't as common. C is usually where it stops.
Same with an E round even.
Right? Yeah. Well, and we'll talk about WeWork, I think. But so D is, if you get to a D and beyond, I think it's a red flag. Because it means that you still need money. You haven't figured it out yet, but you can't really go public. And we were talking off air, like WeWork went to an H round, right? And we all know WeWork.
I do agree. I do. Is that how you view it? Like, I think I do agree. Actually, when I think about it, like I think I agree with you to some extent. I do think there are some, let's call it industries or like I think I work for Trustpilot, right? Yeah. And Trustpilot got their Series D when I was still working for the company, I think. It's huge, right? Like, and then they got a Series E after I left the company. And you're right. I don't think it took them I don't think they were profitable during any of these years. Yeah. But I think the whole idea was also like, you can argue if that's good or not. That's a different discussion for a different day. But was that kind of like the winner takes it all mentality? Yeah. Where they wanted to like win the whole market, and that just required a lot of capital.
And I get if it looks promising, and people are like, let's go. Like it's not quite ready to go public, but we're on to something. Sure, but it's just not as common. It's not as common as like a C round.
And I think another example that's not there yet, but I think maybe something people can relate to. Like I don't know if you know Podimo. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Podimo. I can't remember what round they're actually on right now, so mind me for doing this. But I think that's another example when I look at a company that's like not making money, like they're making money, but they're definitely not profitable. Yeah. And that it's going to take a lot of years and it's going to take a lot of funding. But that's also because they aggressively open new markets.
And that can be good or bad. Right?
Yes, exactly,
and that's the
right?
thing. Like,
and
you're
that's
playing
time will tell, right? But
because if you've already gotten 200 million in funding and it's still not enough to fix or to dominate the market,
Podimo got so much more, and not to hawk here and talk bad about anyone here, but they got a lot.
It's
right?
it's not to talk bad about anyone. It's just kind of generally speaking, it could be a concern.
Oh.
And we talked about WeWork. You know, WeWork had they had their own problems. We're not going to go. That's not about this, but they went up to an H round. You know, and if you have to go through that many rounds of funding, 8, 9, 10 rounds of funding before you can actually hit that profitability and exit, there might be something wrong.
Yeah, like I just looked it up here while we were talking, right? So Podimo is like at a Series B on $224 million right now.
And it's Series B.
Series B.
And that's dollars, not kroner.
Dollars.
That's impressive.
Dollar signs, baby. Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot of belief in that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the B round alone was like 78 million.
And the other thing to remember too is like these rounds get so high because so many people want to be involved, right? It's not one fund usually. Like when we invest in a company, sometimes we're a majority owner, but sometimes we're not. We're just like we want a piece of this too. So if you
do you
have
ever buy the company full?
Yeah,
like, in
we have some that we do. Yeah.
Okay, cool. What do you under like? I'm just curious here. Just like, what's the decision making process like?
I'm not part of that team, so it's kind of hard for me to comment on that. But I know we ideally want to be a majority owner because then we have more of a say. Like I've worked on portfolio companies where we're not, and we see so many things that we would like to change, but we don't have the power to change it. Yeah. We make strong suggestions.
Yeah. But you're marketing shit. I can only tell you, but if you're not going to fix it, I can't do it.
If you don't fix it, there's nothing we can do. Yeah. But so we like to have that authority, and we like to be able to go in and go, we have 2 seats on the board, like we have voting power. Like we have
it makes so much sense. Yeah.
But now that you understand all the different rounds, let's talk about what it means.
Yes.
Because I've been through 6 rounds as an in-house. I'm sure you are probably around that number or so.
Yeah, about the same.
And every time this comes up, I see the newer people. I will say the people newer in their career for their first funding round, they think this is a gift.
The juniors.
And I just want to pat them on the head and say, "Oh, you sweet summer child."
Yeah.
Because this is not a gift, and that's the thing to remember when you close a funding.
We're
round,
not being ageist at all.
No,
people.
I didn't say age. No. I just said, "You sweet summer child." Yeah, that's true. But I was that. That was me in my first round. I was like, "Great, we're all gonna get raises." No, that's not how that works.
Typically not.
And the first thing I want everyone to know is this is not a gift. This is not a charity. You will pay this money back plus some.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yep.
Right? And that's the plan. Whenever we invest in a company, we expect to make that money back eventually. It is not a gift that you can go out and buy yourself an Audi and call it a day.
Some people probably can, but
they do.
Yeah.
They definitely do, but we expect that money back at some point.
How like, okay, question. I feel like I'm asking all the weird questions here.
No,
I'm doing it for the listeners out there.
Yeah, you know all the answers.
Yeah. How do you feel about funding announcement parties? Because like I've been in a with a bunch of companies, and sometimes when we've got funding like announced and when we close funding, there's been these like fucking massive parties, and it's like
we did that.
100K, 200K, 500K, whatever, huge amount of money. Like, at least from my perspective, a lot of my money. I just looking back at it now when I'm older, it's like it feels a little bit off. I don't know, like. I understand why you want to celebrate, but it sends a weird message,
It sends a weird message, yeah. And I mean, it is a reason to celebrate.
Yes,
like the funding process is hard. And
it's super hard.
And most of us have never had to do that hard part.
Yeah.
Every company I've come in, it's been in the process is ongoing. My job is to amplify once it happens, right? Yeah. So it's a hard process. It's sleepless nights. The C-level who work on it work incredibly hard. So I think it is worth celebrating. But again,
and I'm also cool. Like, and I'm cool with throwing a party or something. Because like these like extravagant, huge parties sometimes happens. Holy moly! Right?
And I've seen sometimes. I know at Onamundo when we closed our round, we got a new office, right?
Yeah.
And that part of that was because we were gonna expand and we needed the space. And at the time I was on board. But in hindsight, it's like maybe we put the horse before the cart a little bit, and we needed to wait until we were bursting at the seams.
And I think that's kind of like brings me to my. I might go rogue here, sorry, Jen, but I'm like curious.
I had notes, Casper.
I'm sorry. How do you like? What is the like when you see companies get funding? All right, what are the like? What are the worst decisions they make after getting funding?
Oh, hiring a ton of people before they get their shit together.
Snap.
Every time.
Listen,
Every
I'm
single
pointing at
time.
a camera
Oh, I
now.
thought you-
This is
it's
Timmy.
like,
This is your shot. Because
Timmy,
like,
yeah.
that's exactly it, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's
Great,
like,
we've got money. Let's quadruple the sales team.
yeah, let's quadruple the sales team. We're gonna build 15 people in marketing. I'm like, what?
Yep.
What part of marketing? Like, we don't know what's working, so let's figure it out with
that's the
15
thing.
people.
And that happens all the time. And I think it shows also I don't want to say this in a bad way because I don't mean it in a bad way, but it shows the immaturity of the people leading it from the company side.
Yeah.
You know, you get this big fat check. We got 20 million in the bank. Let's go get a cool office. Let's go get a laser skull that shoots lasers out of its eyes, and it looks fucking cool, and it does look cool. But you know, and you know, you kind of go. And I've been at other companies where it's like, let's do a big party. Let's fly everyone in. Let's all go to Croatia. Like, I've seen the money get spent, and I enjoyed spending that money. But now that I sit on the other side, it's like, here's some money. Now stop. We're going to sit with you, and we're going to create a value creation plan. We're going to assess where you're at. We're going to assess where you need to be, and we're going to try to be smart about who you hire and what for. And that's what we try to do. But
Exactly.
people are going to do what they want to do.
Fuck up. Yeah.
But so I think let's talk about some of the things that people don't talk about, which is the parties. I think the first thing that I noticed when I got my first funding round when I was at Plan Day was my targets went up by about 400% overnight.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? It's like, you have money now?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, how many people am I getting?
Like, and
None.
now, as from an agency side here, how many? I think over the last 3 years, I've worked with 100 B2B SaaS now, and I don't know if was it like 80% or something like that's got funding or something. Only a few of them got bootstrapped or something similar. And whenever they get targets, they always come to us and be like, "Yeah, so we've been told to 10x."
Yeah,
I'm like,
10x.
"Okay, what's the time frame? Within a year." Okay, sure.
But we can't hire anyone.
Yeah, we can't
hire
hire
any
anyone.
new
We
people.
don't have,
That's why we have an agency.
We can only double our budget here.
Yeah.
So double budget 10x. Okay, yeah, cool, sure, good.
And that was what happened to me early in my career, right? My targets went up by 400% because they were doubling the sales team, and I needed to feed the sales team more leads.
Exactly.
But I wasn't getting any more people. But my spend was going up. I had a higher budget. So great, I can put more money into Google ads, but it's not 10x. Like, I can't 10x Google. I can't 10x LinkedIn. No. So be prepared for your targets to change. And at the end of the episode, because we want you to listen, we'll talk about kind of how to prepare for this. I think number 2, I think the thing that people need to realize is the second you get VC or PE funding, your CEO is not in charge anymore.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. That company now belongs to someone else.
Yeah.
Your founder is not the owner anymore. The company belongs to the investors and the board.
Typically, right?
Typically speaking, yes. I mean, and different. I've worked with some companies that have been super strict and took everything over.
Yeah.
I'm happy to say Verdane is not like that, in my opinion.
But Verdane also comes in later.
We're
So
later
it does.
stage,
I think it makes sense. Like when in a Verdane case, you probably come in and take, as you said, a majority, right? Where when we come in as Series A, like I think a lot of the time, the founders still have a majority, right?
They're still on the board usually.
Yeah, right.
The founders are usually, and so they'll be there, but they're not usually the chair. So
okay, like the chair of the board.
The chair of the board will
but
usually
but
be
I think it's
someone brought
important
in.
to state that, like, the day-to-day doesn't probably change that much.
No.
often, right?
So the CEO is still the CEO.
Yeah.
The founder still is founder, but now instead of them just going, yeah, let's do this, they usually have to meet with the board.
Yeah.
If you want to hire someone in like a bootstrapped or in a pre-seed, you can make your case to the CEO and they look at the budget and they're like, yes, you can. Now, if you want to hire someone, you make a case and it goes to a board and the board decide and the board tell the CEO if they can tell you yes. Right. So there's an extra kind of loop there that you wouldn't have before. And then the board can say no. The board can say sorry, nope, no can do, and that's
sometimes like that's kind of the stuff that could break a CEO if they've been used to having full control before.
Absolutely.
That would break my heart, by the way.
Yeah,
Like
if someone invested in SparkForce and they said, sorry, Casper,
you can't hire the person. Like, please.
You have one vote, but your investors have 2 votes.
Yeah.
So we can outvote you if we want. And now it's not really your company anymore. And that is the reality of the situation. It's not your company anymore. You've sold it. Yeah. Right, essentially. The other thing to remember too is now a board is invested. They are going to look at you hard. They are going to scrutinize everything you do. So if you had a really good relationship with your CEO, for example, and they trusted you as a marketer and they knew that you were doing a good job, maybe you don't have the tracking set up, maybe you don't have attribution, but they know the branding is important. They know that your lead gen is working. A board doesn't give a shit about that.
No.
The board wants to see it. They need to see the metrics. And that's why I get real hung up on attribution and metrics, because I've seen so many times where that trust that you had in your CEO doesn't count anymore because they have to go to someone else.
Yeah.
So you will be scrutinized. You will be looked at. Your numbers will be reviewed and reviewed and reviewed. And I've sat in meetings where I've had to justify my numbers 12 times over. I've had to redo presentations for a board 12 times at one point because they didn't understand. So things change. Everything changes. And that's the thing I really want to emphasize for people. You'll also get new headcount, usually.
Typically.
You'll get more people.
Because I think a lot of them, when they approve the funding round, like the funding plans, typically also involves what are you going to spend the money on?
Yeah, you have to give a business case.
And that doesn't even matter, like, if it's an angel or Series A or Series D or whatever it is you're doing. Like, whenever there's always the question, like, what do you, like, I'm going to give you a few million, what are you going to spend them on?
And what's interesting too is I talk to a lot of boards now, and they don't know more than you about marketing.
No,
like there
no.
are so
Typically
many
less.
boards that have no clue. And I was talking, I'm not going to mention specific names, but there was a board and I had to teach them what marketing is, because they were like, we're just going to get more salespeople. And I said, you realize that if you need to increase revenue, you're going to keep having to hire people. You should really be investing in marketing. So even though you have a board who has experience in running businesses, it doesn't mean they understand marketing.
Fuck no.
Yeah. So that's why it can
I think
be challenging.
it's so, that's the dangerous part, right? Because a lot of the companies you typically, it's actually, especially on angel investors, like, but also on Verdane-sized private equity or VC or whatever. A lot of the companies that they have experienced are also from a different era.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A lot of the people who've made their money in the 90s or the early zeros, right? And that was, like the 90s. The people who made their money in the 90s, social media was not a thing.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't do Facebook ads in the 90s, right?
And we get so many people too now, like, well, AI's here, so why do we need so many people? And you're like, it's not that easy.
I talked with a head of sales of a B2B SaaS, and that person had been working for one of the big banks and stuff, and that person had never heard of Google Ads before. I'm just putting into perspective, like, and those are the people who get to decide like what you do with your marketing.
Exactly, and that's why you need to have your shit together.
Yeah.
Before we dive into how to have your shit together, I just want to add a couple more, because I think the thing that also in that visibility, you lose sight of the brand. Unless there's someone on your board who really understands marketing and understands brand, so many times brand is the first thing to get cut, because that's not the money they can't point to and go, this is driving revenue. Yeah. So you really have to work hard to explain.
But I think you can kind of like, if you kind of take level that up a bit, because I would say like a lot of what happens when you get investment is that typically things become a lot more short-term focused, yes, right? Yeah. Like and brand is just an example of that, because brand is a long-term focus typically, and then it becomes like, because you need to hit your investor goals, so you need to close your MQLs for this year or whatever it is, right? Yep. Instead of saying, how do we close one revenue 2 years down the line or whatever, right? Yeah. And that changes dramatically. I found that that's one of the hardest things as a marketeer, to suddenly start before you get that investment. You can do the right thing. Now you suddenly have to balance out things,
because there's new eyeballs looking at what you do, and they don't always understand. So, and I hope that's something that we at Verdane do differently, because we have my team, the Elevate team. We talk to the Verdane people on the board, so we can kind of influence, and we have a marketing person, we have an AI person, we have cybersecurity. So we have people who can talk to the Verdane board members to make sure that they understand holistic marketing. Not everyone has that though, and I've seen so many times it's like, why are we doing YouTube? No one's going to YouTube. Well, yeah, but that's driving our brand, right?
John, sit the fuck out.
And it's always a John, isn't it? No,
it's always a John. I usually, when it's a Danish, I always use the name Karsten. Sorry about it.
You do say Karsten a lot. Poor Karsten.
I don't know.
I just want to talk about headcount before we go in, because that's another one. So as I mentioned, you'll get a lot of new people.
Yes.
Tend to be mostly salespeople usually. Yes. But also people will leave.
It's usually sales team and developers, right?
Yeah.
I found that like developers and salespeople are like,
yeah, and that makes sense. Developers make sense. Yeah, you can never have too many. I guess if you're building a new product, you have to, everyone wants to go enterprise. You need more features. Yeah. But I think it's that fallacy, and we've talked about it before, of more salespeople equal more revenue.
Yes, exactly.
And that's a fallacy that we're trying to change. But I think the thing that people also forget is that people leave.
Yes.
And the saying that I swear it was mine, but you say it's not, but that's fine. The people who got you here aren't necessarily people who are going to get you there.
Boom.
And when you have a board coming in, thank you.
Yeah.
External people coming in and they're like, your head of marketing is great. They're a great doer. They're not a strategist. You're going to have to get rid. And I remember it sucks so much because at least when I was working within the in-house, these people who were so integral, like the people who were there since day one, the people who are just like part of the wall, part of the foundations, like they're basically as much as the wall, the paint on the walls, they're let go. And they're not let go because they're bad. It's because their skills stop here and you need someone who can go here.
Yeah.
And we see that now. I see it a lot in the other side where it's like, okay, we're going to replace the CEO because your CEO doesn't have experience that we need. So that's also something that's a bit of a shock for people to see good people go.
Yeah.
But it's you need different people for different stages of growth.
I totally agree.
And that's the reality of the situation. And that becomes more clear when you bring in more people with other eyes and more experience who can say, this isn't the right person for that.
Yeah. Brutal.
So with that being said, what are some practical tips? So you find out you're on a funding journey. What do you do?
Like, get your metrics in order, right?
Yeah,
like, I think we
100%.
talked so much about this, and that doesn't necessarily change. But to start, like, it might not be day one, but and sometimes you can get funding without having your metrics in place. Sometimes you can't, but later stages you definitely can't. But if you ever feel like you had your metrics in order, now is the time.
Yeah.
Now there will not, like, it might not happen day one, but in the first quarter someone will ask about marketing metrics.
100%. And try to
so have 90 days maximum.
Try to tie branding metrics in there if you can.
Yeah.
Make the case that branded search terms are cheaper, and
you can have leading
search.
indicators, right? That's where you usually call them. Like, so what are your leading indicators? Like, these are showing, hey, we're moving in the right direction. And what are the, like, hardcore, hey, how much pipeline and how much close one revenue and stuff like that.
And one thing I think to keep in mind too with the metrics is it's very rare that you will have the chance to make the case to the investors.
Yes.
You talk to your boss,
have to empower
and your
them.
boss is going to say whatever they're going to say. And I have had bosses who say the right thing, and I have had bosses who embellish what I say.
I've had bosses do the Trump version of it. Like, here's what you need to say. Yeah, so in marketing, we've been doing this thing with, like, on social. It's great. It's the most beautiful thing we ever done on social. It's great. And now we tried a new channel, and that's the most beautiful thing in the world. I'm like,
no one does it better than us.
Okay, whatever. Sure. Do the thing, man.
So there's only so much you can control, but get your metrics in order. Find out what the board cares about. And we did an episode about metrics that boards care about. We could probably revisit that at some other point, but get those under grips. Look at CAC, look at LTV, all of that good stuff.
All those metrics start to matter. Like, they always matter, but now somebody's going to look at them.
Yep. Also start documenting your processes. If you don't, God damn it, document your bloody processes.
I think, like, I do agree with that, but I think it's more late stage for me than like that has to be, because, like, I don't feel like we documented any processes when I was a Trustpilot or a Templify. Nothing.
But did that make things easier? Did it not impact things?
Well, I think, don't get me wrong, like, every task is everything you spend time on is taking time away from something else.
Very true.
And I do believe in documenting. We document a lot in SparkForce. Don't get me wrong. Like, fuck me. Like, we're all about processes and stuff. So I'm not against processes at all. But I do think there's, like, a time for doing this stuff, and there's a time for not documenting everything. I think there's, like, a sweet balance. Some people have it naturally ingrained. I'm not that kind of guy. Someone needs to whip me and tell me to do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What new information?
Yeah, surprise.
I had no idea.
If you haven't listened before. But I do think, for me at least, it's a thing. It becomes more and more relevant the larger you become. And it does make sense that the larger amount of money you get, because you need employee count, and then you need to be able to document to them, hey, this is what you're supposed to do.
It's like the onboarding.
So, don't get me wrong, it do make sense, but I think it's more, the larger you get, I would say, the more relevant it is, in my opinion.
And I think the last one, because we are almost over time, is culture.
Yes.
Your culture is going to change. And I've worked in so many companies where they're like, our culture won't change. We're a family.
Fuck no, it changes.
You're not
so
a family.
Much. Yeah.
You're definitely not a family. Stop.
If they ever say you're a family, you should run.
Run 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
Ask them if they'll give you a kidney.
Yeah.
And then
so
if they're
that
really
means,
your
would you
family.
ever fire your sister? No, hell no.
I would fire my
Boom.
sister.
Won't.
I would fire my sister though. She doesn't listen.
I agree.
No,
my sister's
no,
great.
but everyone thinks that the culture will change. The culture will change 100%. The culture will change. You'll have more people. You'll lose people. You'll have new people. You have new targets. You have new pressure.
Think about it. Like, I think when I was at Trustpilot, at one point we hired 25 people a month.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think happens when you hire 25 new people and they all want to make their mark?
Yeah.
They all want to, like, I'm the one who's going to change. I'm the one who's going to do great, and that's cool. But they all want to make a mark.
Yeah.
Culture changes overnight in those kind of scenarios. And it was Honestly, it's depressing, that part.
It's hard.
That's the part I really don't like about
Yeah.
these journeys, is that you can, I think, like when I was at Templify, it was less like, it was also a change, don't get me wrong, from 30 to 300 people, but it was less so. There was like, we were better at maintaining the culture, keeping it together, at least from my perspective. But it does change. It's part of the
I
game.
think that's the thing. I don't have an answer for how to maintain it. I think you
No.
have to acknowledge it's going to change.
Yes.
Like, don't kid yourself and think that you can still have a walk and talk with your CEO every week.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But you can find other ways, like setting up a mentoring, or partner buddy
Yeah.
system or something. Come up with something that is culture at scale, because the culture will change.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It doesn't mean it's going to go downhill. It can go downhill, but it can also be better.
Yeah.
But I think acknowledge that it will change and put things in place, and maybe have someone who is in charge of that culture, who can make sure you have social events still, make sure that people can get the support that they need, make sure that if there's a whistleblower, like sometimes they
Yeah.
hire assholes. Like, I've worked in so many companies.
Well, if you hire 25 people a month, you're going to get one of
Chances
them
are you're
wrong.
going to have an asshole in there.
Like, I'm just like, you're going to get multiple people wrong, right? Like,
Yeah.
nobody's perfect. Like,
Yeah.
and it's one of those classic cases where like one bad apple can really wreck the
100%.
bunch, right?
Yeah.
Like,
So if they see that bad apple, cut the bad apple.
Yeah.
But anyway, this has gone on longer than I thought it would, but
Yeah.
we had a lot to cover.
Yeah, that's good.
But
I hope you learned something about funding. It's a big
Yeah.
part of, like, if you work in marketing, work in B2B SaaS especially, you might as well get used to it. Like,
Yeah.
you are more than likely to work with funded companies to some extent.
And I've worked in bootstrapped, and I've worked in funding companies. Bootstrapped is tough.
I, as a marketeer, I definitely like funded companies way
Yeah.
more. Like,
Yeah.
it's
You need
more
money
fun. It's just
to
more fun.
spend.
You
Yeah,
get
yeah.
money to spend, and you could do stuff. You can do crazier stuff. As a founder, I like bootstrap more.
Yes,
Sometimes,
when it's your,
most of the time.
'cause you can maintain the control.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like to have the control, and also because, like, it's a different pace. And don't get me wrong, I love running fast. I'm pretty known for that. But it's like the VC pace can also be relentless in a different way. Like, it's just sometimes it's not healthy.
Yeah.
Like, we're running fast for the sake of selling the company fast, not for the sake of building a good company.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And in many cases, that's true.
Yeah.
Cool. So I hope you learned something.
Hope you learned something.
The only thing that we can guarantee is that everything will change.
And we will be back with another episode.
And we
soon.
can also guarantee that we will be back with another episode soon.
Thanks for listening.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.